delivering a big fourth quarter. This time, Nick Folk's game-winning field goal, only from 21 yards. This time, not in terrible weather. It was good. Patriots escape Houston with a 25-22 win. It was probably closer than it should have been. Nick, how should the Pats fans feel after this win?
Terrible. Broussard, the only thing this win did was hurt their draft position. The Patriots are a really bad team. I'll give you the list of things the Patriots do well. They employ Matthew Judon, who's outstanding. That's the list. Davis Mills carved them up all game. I know Pats fans were watching the very end after they got a gift roughing the passer penalty. Ended up only being the second worst roughing the passer penalty of the day, but I'm not bitter about the Chiefs one. The Chiefs didn't play well enough to win. That was an egregious roughing the passer penalty, but we'll move on. We'll move forward. They got a gift of a roughing the passer penalty. And David Culley, who I think deserves some credit for having the Texans ready to fight, made some really questionable special teams decisions late, including kicking nearly a 60-yard field goal for no reason. But Broussard, I have seen nothing from New England that tells me they can beat good teams. And I know folks will be like, well, they almost beat the Bucs. That was such a unique circumstance in bad weather with all the emotions of the game for Brady. The Bucs didn't look like the Bucs that game. The Patriots have beaten Zach Wilson and the Jets, and there's the Jets, and they escaped against the Texans. That was a terrible victory. All it did was mean instead of having the 6th pick of the draft, they're going to have the 9th pick of the draft. They're a bad football team.
Nick, there is no such thing in the NFL. I'm sure Mike will back me up on this as a terrible victory. All right, it was a good win.
No, it's terrible.
And they are playing for a playoff. I picked them to make the playoffs. I picked them to make the playoffs.
Take it.
I knew that was making that.
I'm not as confident in that as I was a month ago, but they're still in the hunt, all right? And a victory's a victory.
No, they're not.
How can you not give – let's give Mac Jones a little credit. Let's give Mac Jones a little credit. All right, he leads 2 scoring drives in the fourth quarter. He hits Hunter Henry on a nice pass for his first touchdown of the game to tie the game up, and then leads a 7-minute drive that ends with the field. I think it was 17 plays. He goes 3 for 5, 37 yards. The roughing the passer helped, but they had 2 offensive penalties too that kind of evened it out. And they still got folk in position for the game-winning field goal attempt. So I like what I saw from Mac Jones. I like the poise. I like the savvy. Yeah, they don't look as good as I thought they would, but they're still very much alive. I'd say more alive
drop
than
a
your
truth
Atlanta
bomb
Falcons.
here, Mike.
Hey, Nick.
Mike, come on.
Nick,
come on.
Ugly win. Ugly win better than a pretty loss, and I've been a part of both.
There you go.
I remember an ugly win that we had. We won 6-3 one time in like 2005. I think we beat the Arizona Cardinals. We only kicked 2 field goals. That did absolutely nothing, but somehow we found a way to get out of the stadium with a win, and it felt good. And I know yesterday for the New England Patriots, it felt good to just get out of the stadium with a win, regardless of how it looked. It can always get better. Go back and look at the tape, reevaluate, and come back strong next week.
Okay,
Truth
that's
bomb.
fine that you guys
Nick.
are making the point that getting the win was important so they don't drop to 1-4. And I understand that to a degree. But if we are looking at how the Patriots have played through 5 weeks and evaluating what they will be the rest of the season, win or lose yesterday, what they're going to be the rest of the season is bad. They don't have a single offensive player that scares you. They have 1 outstanding defensive. Judon's great. I give Judon, that's a great free agent signing, good for them. But that is a bad team. They were damn near 10-point favorites, and they're down 22-9 to Davis Mills, who just carved them up. Again, this is Davis Mills, Jenna, carved them up. Stephon Gilmore's not walking through that door. He plays for Carolina now. It's bad news for the Patriots. Win or loss, that's bad news for them, Jenna.
I hate that.
All right, it was a win. Let's head to L.A. Browns and Chargers. What a game. Could not stop watching this game. My kids were like, what about dinner? I was like, what about the game? Wild shootout between the two. Justin Herbert, 5 total touchdowns. Austin Eckler, 3 scores in the fourth. My kids eating dinner at 5 p.m. Chargers pull out the nail biter. despite a good game at a Baker Mayfield. Didn't matter. They beat Cleveland, improved to 4-1 for the first time since 2014. Nick, did yesterday say more about the Browns or the Chargers?
Well, let me start with the Chargers. Mike, I think right now the Chargers, I know everyone this morning, because there's so much recency bias, it doesn't even matter that both things happened yesterday. The Bills game happened 5 hours after the Chargers game, so everyone's going to say the Bills are the best team in the AFC. I think right now the Chargers are the best team in the AFC. I think Herbert is the second best quarterback to Mahomes. I think Brandon Staley's been absolutely outstanding, and the way he understands time score situation, the aggressiveness on fourth downs, I think the Chargers are for real. That's on the Chargers side of things. On the Browns side of things, Mike, and I'd love your thoughts on both of these, you got a couple issues here. There was the bizarre 3rd and 10 run play at the end, which just showed when you knew you couldn't get a stop. You knew you weren't stopping Herbert. You got to pick up a first down, and they didn't trust Baker to go get it. Then when Baker does get the ball after they forced the Chargers score, which was really sharp, Baker, who I support, man, he spends 50 seconds to get 10 yards. His 2-minute drill there was brutal, and the Odell connection still is non-existent. So I know it's a weird thing when the defense allows 47 and the offense scores 42, but if Baker's going to be, the Browns have now elevated to a point where it's not just can you play the really good teams close, you got to win some of these. And they were up 14 and blew it, and then Baker didn't have Baker wasn't able to get him in position late. So I am actually, as good of a game as it was, a little concerned for Cleveland after that game and wildly impressed by the Chargers.
No, I think you said it, Nick. This was clearly a game where the Browns should have won, and Baker Mayfield was supposed to put the team on his back regardless of any conditions, circumstances, or what have you. They were supposed to get out of this stadium with a win. They were supposed to go on the road and beat the Chargers, and they didn't. So whatever faults they had, whatever didn't go right, they can only blame themselves. But when the ball is in their hands, the quarterback, Baker Mayfield, I felt like he had opportunities to finish that game. On the flip side for the Chargers, whatever they're doing culturally, everybody's buying in. Justin Herbert proven to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and Mike Williams is one of the best receivers in the league. He don't get enough credit. Keenan Allen is the man, but I was almost thinking that he needed to be traded because he wasn't showing up enough. It's good to see that they gave him the ball. He's the X factor. He's the reason the Chargers offense is moving so fluently.
Yeah, the Chargers are definitely legit. They arguably have the best resume in the league. You know, they could easily be 5-0 if they hadn't given away 2 touchdowns literally with offensive penalties against the Dallas Cowboys, which is a good team, obviously. And they've beaten the Chiefs and the Raiders and now the Browns. So their resume looks tremendous, and they've done it in comeback fashion. And that's what I like. Like, Justin Herbert is not only showing that he's a very good quarterback, if not great, but he is a clutch quarterback. 5 of his 13 touchdowns this season have come in the fourth quarter with them trailing and needing touchdowns and needing points. The only one with more fourth quarter touchdowns is Pat Mahomes. As far as the Browns, the thing is you got to be concerned. You mentioned this a while ago, Nick. The teams they got to beat all have better quarterbacks than them. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, obviously Mahomes, Josh Allen, and now Justin Herbert. So that's going to be a problem for the Bengals going forward, or for the Browns going forward.
You know, it makes you wonder if the Chargers are going to climb up those tiers in any way. If I could only think of who's on top, I can't.
We got to have a new number one.
I wonder.
We got
Chargers are really good.
I
Chargers really